So we went into the tryout, and it ended up being Mick Haley's first practice with the Texas team.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was their very first practice. And I was, of course, super nervous. I'm this little tiny school kid from Louisiana, and I was super green, and these girls are super good athletes. And he whistles, and he was a great setter in his time, and he set this ball from outside the court in zone 1 to left front, which was a perfect ball, but it was a sky ball. And I'm thinking, it's coming to me, and I better do something with this. And I jump and swing and miss.
Oh, no.
Miss the ball. And I landed, and I just started laughing. I just thought, okay, well, it's over now. I'll never play here.
This is the Leave It Better podcast, powered by the Side Out Foundation. Here's your host, Hall of Fame coach, Janice Kruger.
Welcome to the Leave It Better podcast. Today I have Fran Flory as my guest. She is the general manager for Vegas Thrill, as you see there on her shirt. And we're going to have some fun conversations today. What a lifelong journey in volleyball, and working now as a general manager in our pro league here in the United States. You wanted to always be a teacher. And I think about that with coaches and coaching as wanting to be a teacher. And I think this started very early in your life. There's a story about a sixth grader that got to teach PE after she got all of her work done. Tell me a little bit about that. I just absolutely love it.
Wow, you're taking me way back. But, I truly believe we're put on this earth to do certain things. And from the very beginning, my role models were teachers. Everybody I really connected with were teachers. And so coming through elementary, I had some great teachers through elementary school in a public school in Louisiana, which is somewhat difficult, certainly these days. But we had a sixth grade PE teacher named Mrs. Veals. I will never forget her. And she, I was athletic and wanted to be doing stuff with the boys. We didn't have a lot of female opportunity, not much girls opportunities at that time. So I would fight to be with the boys. And she said, you know what? If you get your work done, I will make a deal with your classroom teacher, because we didn't change classes in those days. We had one teacher in the same classroom all the time. If you get it done, as soon as you finish all of your assignments, she's going to let you come out and help me teach PE. And I was like, you're on. And so I would just buzz through anyway. I was begging the teacher for more stuff. I'm like, can I go on to the next? Can I get a week ahead? Can I be out there the whole week? I tried everything. And I really think, cool. There are people in lives that change our lives, right? That you don't really realize at the moment. But she changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life. And, I knew I wanted to teach, but the experience she let me have was so instrumental in where I went.
Yeah, so fun. I mean, sixth grade, I have to just think that was a beautiful time. So let me back up just a little bit. Like your coaching career, Fran, You've had some awesome schools to work with and for. Started out at Wittenberg, Division III, great place. And then Texas A&M. And you mentioned Al Givens the other day. Yes. I was like, oh my God, that was so fun to hear his name. It's been a long time since I've seen him. And then you were at LSU as an assistant for a couple of years, Southeast Louisiana for a year, and then Kentucky. You replaced Kathy DeBoer and took over her program. Wow. That's quite a compliment to be able to take over after Kathy. And then at LSU, 1998 to 2021. And during that time, I believe it was during that time. Yes. No. And then last, LSU's beach program, which was something that we've just really got rolling. Currently, you are the general manager for Vegas Thrill. Started coaching there, but this whole is a big job. And there needs to be a lot of people in there. So we're going to talk about some of that in more detail later. There's another part of your story that I didn't know, and you set me straight the other day, and that was you were a student athlete for the University of Texas, and you played for the famous Mick Haley and won, I guess, an AIAW championship back in 1981.
Yeah, 81.
Yeah. We're going to have to probably talk a little bit about how you got recruited there. Because we got to get after Mick just a little bit. He got stuck in a really good situation, I believe. Yeah. So, but what a awesome career. You are an AVCA Hall of Fame coach. What an honor that is. Several Coaches of the Year awards, Regional Coach of the Year awards, very high-end accomplishments with you and your programs. Let's start by going into the beginnings of you. And I know somewhere along the line, you fell in love with volleyball, and it has been there for you through your life in your life journey. And it is something that I kind of feel I'm a little bit in that space as well. But let's talk about the beginnings here of how you got going in loving this sport. What turned you on to that?
Yeah, the very beginning, I had a PE teacher by the name of Frances Compton. Again, we're going to go back to the teacher. And I grew up a swimmer, was going to go try to make the Olympics swimming. Everybody around here thought I was great. I didn't like to keep my head underwater once I hit high school. I was like, I'm done. And I was a basketball player. So I actually fought really hard. My high school didn't have a women's basketball, a girls basketball team. So in 7th grade, one of my teammates and I, one of my friends went to the boys tryout and said, hey, we're trying out for the boys. And they said, you can't. And we both said, yeah, we can, because we're better than the boys and you want us on your team. So we did that. And the next day we had a girls team, which was great. The school, of course, bowed down and said, okay, we'll make a girls team. So my journey began as a basketball player. And then I made a deal with the best athlete in the school that if she played basketball, I would play volleyball. I didn't really love volleyball. So as a sophomore in high school, I cut this deal because I thought we could win with this other great athlete at the school, who's a couple years older. And she said yes, so I said yes. And I didn't know how to rotate. I didn't know how to play the game at all. My coach, Frances Compton, learned the sport, and she later coached at LSU with Scott Lester, and was very successful with the Final Four teams that we had in 90 and 91. She recruited those two groups, but she became, and is still today, one of my dearest friends, but she became the number one force in my life. And she was like, you're going to play volleyball. This is really for you. And literally people would grab my jersey and move me to the next spot, and grab my jersey and move me to the next spot, because I didn't know what I was doing at all. And so I fell in love with it, kept playing, and, that's how the journey began. It led me to today.
Those folks in high school really can impact lives a great deal, as yours did in elementary school, too. So you fell in love with volleyball. How tall are you, Fran?
6 feet.
You are 6 foot.
Yep.
And you find your way back in those days when we were trying to get on a volleyball team. It was tryouts. And I believe you decided, and how did you get connected to wanting to go from Louisiana to Texas?
So my godparents lived in Austin and were avid Lady Longhorn basketball fans. They had gone to school at LSU in chemistry. My mother was one of the only females in chemistry at LSU in the late 40s. And so there was a small group, and the woman was also in chemistry. They all became friends, became my godparents, and they brainwashed me from the very beginning with Texas Longhorn stuff. I got stuff every holiday, every birthday. I got Texas Longhorn shirts. So came to make a decision, and we had to go try out. So I went in 1979 or spring of 1980. Drove to Austin. They weren't flying us in. They weren't wining and dining us. They weren't doing anything. We were just doing our thing. So we went into the tryout, and it ended up being Mick Haley's first practice with the Texas team. I didn't realize that. Yeah. It was their very first practice. And I was, of course, super nervous. I'm this little tiny school kid from Louisiana, and I was super green, and these girls are super good athletes. And I mean, he crushed us. He absolutely crushed us. And a funnier story, in the middle of the tryout, somebody shanks a pass off the right back corner into zone 1, and Mick's standing off the corner, and I'm in left front. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to get this ball. And he whistles, which he could whistle really loud, really shriek, and you knew spin. And he whistles, and he was a great setter in his time. And he set this ball from outside the court in zone 1 to left front, which was a perfect ball, but it was a sky ball. And I'm thinking, it's coming to me, and I better do something with this. And I jump and swing and miss. Oh, no. Miss the ball. And I landed, and I just started laughing. I just thought, okay, well, this over now. I'll never play here.
Oh, my God. That's great.
Yeah. So anyway, afterwards, the godparents invite him out to dinner because they're huge financial supporters of Lady Longhorns. They make sure he sits in the back seat of the car. They're driving. They demand we get back to their house for him to go on his way and us to probably go back to Baton Rouge. And Margie Hale, it's Margie and Cecil Hale are their names. And Margie Hale would not let Mick Haley out of the back seat of that car until he offered me a scholarship. and he did under duress. and they became huge Texas volleyball fans. They supported them financially. They did so much for the Texas women's Lady Longhorn basketball program, and then the women's volleyball program there. They were avid supporters, and trickled down into their family. And I know Mick and them became pretty tight. So it's a pretty fun story.
Oh, that's really a fun story. Mick had been at Kellogg. Had he been at Kellogg before that? Okay, Kellogg College. Yes. His program is kind of getting started with his background and all of his knowledge. What was something that you learned from him at that point in time that sort of stuck with you, if anything? We won't tell him that.
I learned everything, right? You learn so much, especially from your college coach, if you continue to coach. And I mean, he's one of the best ever. And I think probably the work that needed to go in, we didn't have 20 hours a week. I mean, we worked out for 2 hours physically in the morning. And then we practiced from like 2 to 6 in the afternoon. I mean, and I would do it all over again today. And I think the work ethic of understanding what it takes to be a champion is what I learned, right? There are no days off. There's no shortcuts. I mean, we would literally pass. There were no fun drills. Fun was not part of this. We weren't creative. We partner passed for 15 minutes at a minimum, just back and forth, different tempos, different heights, and set back and forth, different tempos, different heights. And then we'd pepper for another 30 minutes, and then we'd start practice. And so you remember those days. It was just, it wasn't trying to be creative. It was trying to master your craft. Mm-hmm. And so there's no other way to do it than repetition. And so understanding that and not needing to be entertained by the drill or create something new that can keep people's interest. The interest was, can I be a little bit better on this contact? Can I be a little bit better on this contact? And it became a game within the game, right? And so that part of it is, something that I really, really believe in. And I found later in my coaching career really difficult to have the players understand.
Yeah. I remember a conversation where I said, we're going to have some fun, but I got to define fun for you because I'm sure we don't agree on what this is. My fun is 10 balls to the target on my finger. And and you got like 2 minutes to do it. So yeah. Very fun. So you win a championship there. What year would have that been? What year were you in college at that time?
It was my sophomore year.
Your sophomore year.
Yeah, and it was at Florida State, the last AIW championship. So 81 was the year that NCAA began sponsoring volleyball. And so USC won the first NCAA championship, and Texas won the last AIW. So we were split. And of course, we always claim because we beat USC early in the year, not late in the year. I'll share that caveat, but that we were the true champion because we had defeated them. I'm sure later in the year they were better, and as were we. So it would have been nice to have that matchup. But we don't. And, I mean, both of us can be national champions that year. There's not a problem. I don't think anybody holds any grudges. But it was an interesting time to be part of women's college athletics, right?
Sure. Yeah, I had 2 experiences with Nebraska at AIW championships, and one was in Texas and one was in Princeton. But that wasn't, we only got to go twice. But those memories, I remember being in the back seat of a car with the manager driving, going down a hill too fast, and there's a bump, and she goes through it, and I hit my head on the roof of the car because, I mean, she put this thing airborne. But anyhow, crazy times back then.
Crazy times. In the spring, we drove our own cars to our tournaments. I had a bigger car with no air conditioning. And we'd jump in the car, roll down the windows, and go. Even after playing all day, we'd jump in the car, and I'd drive everybody home. And, thinking of today with the liability and all of that, crazy. But it's what we had to do to have the opportunity, right? We all did everything possible to just have the chance to do it. And again, I would do it all again today. Yeah.
So you get out of college and you start and you get a job. You're really young. Up in Wittenberg. You started there. What was that like for you? First job on your own. Did you have an assistant?
I did end up having an assistant. He was supposed to be a manager, but we kind of pushed him up into kind of an assistant role. He would drive the other van, and I would drive one van. So we had 2 drivers. I inherited a team that they had won the league the year before, but they graduated like 9 players. So the cover was pretty bare, and I didn't get the job until like August, like we were about to start preseason. So there wasn't much hope. I didn't really recruit. We just trained, and I was the same age as the seniors. I mean, Linda Arena, who was the athletic director there, was wonderful. And then there was a women's basketball coach by the name of Pam Evans. And Pam showed me the ropes a little bit. She hadn't been there very long, but she'd certainly longer than me, was a little bit older than me, not much. And she kind of showed me the ropes. But, some of those relationships with those kids, just bringing a different level of training, and no disrespect to the people who have been there, but was just a little bit different mentality. And those women, they played so hard for us. They were really, really a great group to start my coaching career with. They were incredible, and they believed, and they worked hard, and they did everything they could. And, we didn't have super successful. We won, but we weren't super successful. Not as successful as certainly we all wanted to be. Yeah. It wasn't a real job. I eventually got paid a little bit at LSU. I got my first paycheck from LSU. I kept it. I still have the pay stub, $383 a month. And I thought it was great. I was like, yes. I know. Wow.
I think, gas was something like 35 cents a gallon too back then, but right.
Yes. Yes.
So in 91, I'm coaching now at the University of Maryland, and we host And I see you. I get to see you there and your team and the purple. And is it, you call it purple and gold, or what's the gold? Yeah, you
Purple
guys
and
were
gold, yes.
bright. That was your first Final Four experience.
Yeah, 90 was our first. Yeah.
Oh, 90.
And then 91. 90 we went, and it was a UCLA.
Oh, okay.
And then 91 it was up with you guys.
Yeah.
So we just had a number of incredible athletes who we are all still. It's amazing what success does, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just went on vacation last week with two of those team members. Like, we're family friends. Julie Ibieta, Julie Stemple was a middle blocker, and she is my daughter's she and her husband are godparents to my oldest. And, the connections there it was bigger than a team, right? And that's when you have a championship type of mentality, because it's bigger than that. But Francis recruited a great group that fit Scott's coaching style. And Scott, I really believe, I said this all the time, I think he was underappreciated as a coach. He was so good at managing players and managing their mentality and their understanding and their belief. He went in the middle of a match. We had somebody get hurt on the right side, and we didn't have a backup on the opposite. And he walked down the bench, and he looked at this one girl, and he said, I know you've never done this before, but you're going to do this, this, and this, and you're going to be great. And you're going to go in and you're going to save the day. And she did. She did. He had this way. And I just, and he did that in 1990. We moved our middle, Monique Adams, who was a tremendous athlete, out of the middle to the pin, and put a third or fourth middle, Jenny Lagrange, in, who had played, but not. You remember Jenny? You know,
she
Jenny
was my assistant for a little bit at Maryland. Yeah.
At Maryland, yes. Yeah. Put Jenny in the middle, and Jenny had played some, but not great, wasn't the person, right? Jenny came in, did a great job, and Monique went on the outside and had like 40 kills, some crazy number of kills. And so he was a master at managing matches. And I never, ever thought he got credit for being the caliber and the level of coach that he really was. He was an incredible coach. Incredible.
Yeah. One thing I remember about Scott is that, you guys have that tiger on campus. And I don't know if this was true or not, but he got in the cage with the tiger. He would get in the cage.
Well, okay. So there's a bigger story. Old Mike, the big Mike passed, but the new kitten tiger came in, and they allowed this one to be raised as a cub. And so they allowed the head coaches at the time to go into the habitat with the baby tiger. And the swim and dive coach started like playing with him a little bit, and they warned, don't do it. And the diving coach actually had to go get stitches. The tiger clawed him, ripped his calf wide open, just laid it open because it doesn't know any better. It's not a kitten, it's a tiger.
Yeah, right.
So, but Scott, and then at LSU, you can go kind of in the habitat, but not inside the habitat. So there is an external thing that they do allow people to do. But that's the tiger that Scott got to be in with, was the little cub.
I think he led me to believe it was the big one. Well, it could have been, right?
Story.
Right. Wow. You've really had some amazing people to coach with and be around. Then you do a little stint at Kentucky after Kathy DeBoer, and you get to be part of the SEC and get that in your blood. And what was that like taking over? And she stayed there as an administrator. Okay, like you had extra help, maybe.
Kathy, I can't. Nobody. You used the words earlier that I replaced Kathy. Nobody replaces Kathy. Right. Kathy is, again, another. You're right. I had incredible people to work with and for along my entire career, and Kathy, probably the best leader that I was ever around. The number one piece of advice she gave me when she decided she was going to move into administration and out of the head coaching position, was never, ever end a player's career. Let them end it for themselves, Fran. And I thought, that's really, really important. That's really important because, it's so many players become bitter at their coaches and blame. And she just was really, as harsh and challenging and difficult as she was to play for, demanding. She took care of those players and protected them, whether they knew it or not. And I think once you get out, that she did protect you. But, I went there, in all honesty, to be her assistant. I wasn't, and with the idea in 2 or 3 years or maybe longer, I was going to be the head coach. And I was nowhere near ready to be a head coach in the SEC. I mean, I knew that. She knew that. And we're in the middle of camp, and I had actually gotten a wreck. We drove kids in vans in between facilities, and somebody rear-ended me, barely tapped me, like I hit the brakes hard. And I didn't call the police. Everybody said they were fine, whatever. Later that afternoon, when the trainer goes, one of the people in your van is complaining of a neck problem. I'm like, oh my God, okay, that's not good. And then I get a call from Kathy. I need to meet you in your dorm room tonight. And I was like, I'm getting fired. I just got here. It was like April to June. I was like, I'm done. It's over. And she walks in, slams the door, and starts pacing, which if you know Kathy DeBoer, she paces. Like she's moving. She can't sit still and have a conversation. She's a tiger. And I just launched it. I was like, I am so sorry. I apologize. I should have called the police. The kid's okay, blah, blah. And she's like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, never mind. Nothing happened. What do you want to talk about? It's just like, I have to make a decision tonight.
Oh. Yeah.
And I either got to decide I'm going full-time admin and you're the head coach, or I'm staying coaching. And I said, what are you going to do? And she said, I think I'm going to be the administrator. She goes, that means you're taking over. And I said, no. Like, no, like, I'm not ready. This is your team. She had a lineup of Eunice Thomas, Jane Bellinger, Krista Robinson, Molly Dreisbach. She had this group of players that were incredible. Ann Hall, that they were going to have a chance to do something really special. It was her year. It's like, this is your team. I'll do all the work. You're going to be the head coach. Just sit on the sideline. I'll give you the scouting report. I'll do everything. And she's like, no, I have to walk away. And she goes, well, if you don't want the job, I'll hire somebody else. And I said, no, I want the job, but I'm not ready. And then it turned into, when I walk away, Fran, I have to walk away. Like, I'm not going to I have to act as an administrator. And she did. Budget-wise, you can't take that trip. I know where you are, but you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do that. But the volleyball part of her was still in it. So after matches, she would walk into my office and pace back and forth. Why didn't you start in rotation 6? Why did you do this? Why did you match this person? Why didn't you sub here? At the beginning I answered, and then I realized she just needed to talk.
She just needed to let it out.
So I just shook my head and smiled and said, I'm sorry. And we were good that year. Went 29-4. Were really, really good. And then the last, as you know, all these stories happen all the time for people. The last play of the last practice before the NCAA tournament, Ann Hall sprains her ankle. And she passed about 2/3 of the court, and she's a little itty bitty 5'6" outside hitter. But at that point, the whole team went done, and we lost to Duke. Sad.
Yeah.
Sad ending.
I remember her name. I can't picture her. I picture her as a blonde. I don't know if that's the case or not, but probably not.
No.
Oh, well.
Good.
All good. So then, let's see. You go to LSU, I believe. Yes.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you became the winningest coach. Prior to that, you took Scott's little trophy away there in terms of a number of wins, and you became the most winningest coach there in volleyball. And I'm sure for you, like, that was a really special job. What allowed you to have so much success there?
Well, it was the dream, right? I didn't go to LSU out of high school. I chose to go away to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do in life. And so the dream for me and for my family, my mom, was always to come back, like always, if there's any chance. And I told after I coached at LSU as an assistant, when we crossed paths for the first time, Joe Dean, the athletic director, this is another part of the story. We went to the Final Four in 91, and I walk into a women's basketball game because we all went to everybody's events. We all supported everybody. And he called me into the stands and he said, "Hey, great year, but I'm not going to renew your position."
Oh, shoot.
And I looked at him and I said, "You do know we just went to the Final Four for the second time in a row." And he goes, yeah, that's great. That's great. But we're getting rid of all of the restricted earnings positions, and that's you. So you don't have a job. And he goes, "But I have a job for you." And I looked at him, and I shouldn't have said these words, but I said, "I don't want your something job." And I walked off. And then I went home and slept, and I woke up the next morning and said, "I need a job."
Okay.
So I went back, and that's how I ended up at Southeastern for a year before going to Kentucky. But he wrote me a note at that point, all this to say, Jodine, when I left, he wrote me a note, put it on my desk, my last day in there. And it said, "You have to leave to come back. You will be the next head coach at LSU."
Oh,
and I thought,
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's powerful.
And well, I thought, is it? I mean, Joe Dean did not have the reputation of being true to his word, especially with women's athletics, unfortunately. We got rid of softball when he was there. I mean, it wasn't a positive trend for women's athletics. So I thought, he's just trying to be nice because he feels like whatever. But he made true. And Debbie Coram was the senior women's administrator there. I'm sure you remember Debbie in some way. Yeah. She was with the SEC for a long time, and she had known me from SEC. So when time came to come back, I was very fortunate to come back. I was standing in my mother's kitchen when she called and said, we're going to offer you the job. And one of the most prideful moments probably for my mom to be able to say, "Hey, she's coming home finally," right? Because I've been gone for a while. But it was great. And, I came from Louisiana volleyball, right?
Yeah,
I always had the passion to make it better. And I don't think we necessarily did that. Like, the goal every time you take a job, you're going to make volleyball in the community better. You're going to do that. But the job, especially these days, is so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the reach of that, that part of the job, I don't think I ever really helped a ton. I mean, we did camps, of course. You did camps forever, Janice. And you help in that way, right? Yeah. But is that, coaches clinics, you try to reach, you try to help. But I think, I loved coaching at LSU. But I also think, there's kind of a shelf life to it.
Sure. And, yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so, that's a long time to stay in one place. Yeah.
Yeah. Passion. Yeah. Right. But you did finish out there at LSU with the beach program.
Yeah. So, of course, Kathy remained a huge mentor, and Kathy was pushing beach. She was hugely instrumental in starting beach volleyball in this country, and collegiately. And so, she was in my ear and everybody else's ear about doing it. And I went to Joe Oliva, who was the AD at that time. We were looking to add sports. They were looking at acrobatics. They were looking at all kind of different sports. And I went to him and I said, "Hey, I'm not trying to really push this on you, but here's an option. And I would be happy to start this and be part of it if this is the direction you'd like to go." Absolutely. I think it's a great sport for Louisiana. Weather-wise, we had a tennis facility that was vacant, and it had a grandstand and locker rooms underneath. They had moved the tennis facility, and I thought, we just tear up the courts and you put in sand, and you have a built-in footprint right now for one of the best facilities in the country. And he was like, "Well, that's a pretty good idea. We'll see." And so I said, I left it alone. About a year and a half later, in August, I'm in preseason for the indoor team. He calls me in to his office, and I'm like, I wonder what this is about. And he goes, hey, we're going to start beach. It's sand at that point. We're going to start sand. And I said, great, that's amazing. When are we going to do it? He goes, right now.
Oh, dear.
Like this year? He goes, yep, I need you to have tryouts. I need you to get a budget put together. I need you to get going. And we're playing in the spring.
Wait.
It's like, okay. And of course, I couldn't say no, because if I say no, they're going to go do acrobatics.
Oh, yeah. No, that
right?
Can't happen.
So I said yes. And my assistant at the time and I, Jill Lytle-Wilson, who is still now back at LSU, I went downstairs and I said, we're starting sand and we are the staff and we're not getting paid another penny. Like there was no compensation. This is a labor of love for the sport of sand beach volleyball. So we held open tryouts. We trained the beach team from 6 to 8 in the morning, and then went and trained our indoor team in the afternoon, and then tried to travel and organize and do whatever. And then I hired Russell Brock from Rice, who is now still is the beach coach and has done a tremendous job with our beach program. Begged him out of Rice as the indoor assistant and said, I think I have a good opportunity. And Jill Wilson actually made the initial contact with him, and he was intrigued. But then right. we were able to woo him over, and he's just done amazing. And I stayed with it as the head coach for 2 or 3 years. And then finally I said, I can't, I'm no help to you. I'm not making you better. I would recruit indoor on Thursday or Friday night, and then I'd fly Friday night to help the beach program on Saturday. And then I'd leave Saturday night and go recruit on Sunday. And, I think it helps having some crossover athletes, if you want to call that crossover, but it did affect our recruiting later because I wasn't out and about as much. And so, the tug of war was tough to be able to do both and try to do both at the highest level.
Yeah. I think you must have a tremendous ability for a workload. Because I know starting with Pro Volleyball Federation and being their head coach there in Vegas, trying to get something off the ground. There's a lot of work, like you said. There's so many different kinds of things when you're maybe some of the parts with the players are not as much because they're not college kids anymore. First, let's go into what was that like in your first year? Now, you did your second year as a general manager, and now we're getting ready to go into a third year.
I was intrigued. Vegas was the last team to join in for the season 2 years ago. The people in Vegas, I was just part of the workload that this staff had. In 90 days, Ruben Herrera, who's the president, and his staff put together an entire professional organization and got it off the ground. A brand reveal, a roster build, which I helped him with, of course, but we collaborated on that. And then everything from, I'm on the plane flying places, ordering shoes. I called every manager that worked for me ever and apologized because I was like, I am so sorry. I had no idea this stuff took too long. I was pumping up volleyballs. I went through 3 pumps, pumping out air pumps, doing volleyballs because there's no infrastructure, right? There's no managers. There's no assistants yet. There's no anything. And so, we just put our nose down and just went. And, again, as I mentioned before, it's what I learned with Mick of there are no days off. You just go. You go until you get the job done. And when the job's done, there's a next job to be done. And so you just keep going. And it was one of the most rewarding things for me. I tell you, when we had a fan day, a practice for a fan day in Lee's Family Forum is the arena we play in. And we had the thrill floor down, that was set up. The court was set up, whatever. And I was like, we all of us have wished forever to have a viable there's been professional volleyball in this country before, but a viable league, sustainable league, right? And so I walked out from the tunnel and I had to go in the corner by myself because I just was so emotional to be able to be part of it and to say, wow, we actually made it. Like, we're here. It's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to happen. And so I walked off for a little bit, came back. We had a great fan day. And then playing the first matches, I loved coaching them. I really did. But I wasn't the right coach for them. I'll say that real openly. There was so much to be done. I couldn't focus on a game plan and get all the stats put together and do all of that and manage everything else that had to be done. And so to be able to function, not just, if I could have just left that stuff alone, I would have been a much better coach, but we didn't have it. Denise Corlett, the longtime Stanford assistant,
Yes.
I begged her out of retirement and she came to Vegas with me, and thank God she did. And we had other people. I mean, Blanca Herrera is a workhorse. I've never seen a woman who carries a bigger workload than she does. And, we have incredible people in our organization. And Ruben was part of the Red Bull startup. So he knows how to build a program from the ground up, anything, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's a brand that you're starting from the bottom up. And so I loved providing the opportunity to the players that got to stay in the U.S., that got to have their families see them on U.S. soil playing volleyball, the thing they love the most, that they could make a living and actually grow the sport. And we weren't super successful, but we were successful enough. The coolest thing for me was at the end of the year, we weren't going to advance to the playoffs. But our last match of the year, the fans showed up and they were rowdy. They had towels. It was great, like the arena. And I just looked at everybody. I thought, this has value.
Yeah.
Like, we're not playing for anything and it has value. Like, how else can we know what a great sport we're ministering to, we've dedicated ourselves to? Like, let's make this really happen. And so I knew at that point we needed to up the ante with a different type of coach, and that we needed help at the different level. And Ruben was gracious enough to say, yes, let's do that. And so I moved into a GM role, which I had no idea, again, what I'm doing. But again, our staff is amazing. They're amazing. And they just go.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a feeling that you have so much experience and so much knowledge that was just a matter of kind of laying it out for yourself here with that. So is Denise also helping you currently?
Yeah, Denise was my associate head coach last year, and then she moved over to the business side with me as well.
Okay.
She handled. You made a comment about my workload. Denise puts me to shame. I mean, Denise's ability to work and to provide information. She would get up the first year. We're doing all kind of stuff. You can imagine just putting the franchise together, and she would be up at 3:00 in the morning doing the games, the scout. I'm like, Denise, what are you doing? She's like, well, I got to get it done. She is incredible. I now understand how Stanford was so good for so long. I mean, no disrespect to their head coaches, but the other side is she's so dedicated to the players. She really, really connects with the players. And so awfully fun to see, that next level with her as well. So,
yeah,
we just have a lot of people that care. A lot of people that care.
Yeah. I think you're one of those connectors too. You have a way about you that's really special, Fran. Your daughter played for you at LSU, then went overseas to play. Coaching your daughter. Did you do all 4 years with your daughter?
Yes.
Can you just give me a little sense of what that was like, how challenging that was, and how fun maybe at the same time?
Super rewarding, no question about it. But we got a little prelim, a little precursor, because her club coach at 15s took another job, and the club director, Lee Feinswag, actually was running the club down here, and he called me and he said, "Fran, I need a coach." I was like, "Lee, I can't commit to that. I'll help, but I can't commit to that." He was like, "Well, it's Lindsay's team." And I'm like, again, I can't commit to that just because it's my kid. And so I coached with a high school coach here who's great. So I told Lindsay, I said, "I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to coach you in this first club tournament, and then you're going to tell me yes or no. And if this is not what you want, then I will walk away and I will tell Lee no." And so I coached her. We were walking out the gym together in the middle of the court. I'll never forget it. And she stopped me and she goes, "I do have one question for you." She goes, "It was okay." And I said, "Okay." She goes, "Can I call you Fran instead of Mom, like everybody else?" Aww. And I said, "Absolutely. Absolutely. When we're on the volleyball court."
Oh man, that's so like, wow. That, that brings some water to my eyes.
Yeah, it did me at that time too. And anyway, so we went on, and then she didn't decide where she was going to go play. She wanted to go to LSU, but she didn't want to play for me. She really didn't want to play for me. LSU was her dream school. She wanted to do it, everything, but she wanted to have her own life and not have me be part of it. And I respect that. I left home too. I mean, I wasn't offended by that. And on the last day, we were ordering uniforms for, in Nike, you got to order uniforms really early. So it was probably April or March of her senior year, and she hadn't signed, she hadn't done anything. And I said, I came home from work and I said, "Lindsay, we're ordering uniforms for next fall tomorrow. I have to know, am I putting Flory on a uniform or am I not?" And she goes, "Yeah, I guess so." She walked back to her room.
Oh, shoot.
So, and my husband looked at me and he said, "Did that just happen?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm going to ask again at breakfast in the morning and then we'll know." So we got up the next day and she said yes. And so she walked on initially. And coaching, as so many of us now have coached our own child. Yeah. And it is one of the most rewarding things, but also one of the most difficult. It's really difficult with culture of your team.
Yeah.
Because she has to earn the right to be part of the things that they know I don't need to know about. The head coach doesn't need to know about the things that, maybe they shouldn't be doing, all of that. And so she had to earn her right into that group. And I knew that. I knew that I had to step away. And I'm sure her freshman year, she probably felt like I just didn't pay attention to her because I didn't. I let my husband, but I stepped out because nothing could undermine that more than her coming to me with information, right?
Sure.
And undermining things. And so that part of it, she handled super maturely. And I actually asked the seniors on my team if they were okay with her joining the team before I said yes to her. Because that was a group of seniors that had given everything to this program and were super respectful. And I just was like, "Are you okay?" They're like, "Yes, absolutely. We love her. She would be a great addition." And so it had to be everybody was in rather than just me wanting her to be part. And I tried to do that really carefully. And, honestly, the hardest moment for me was we had a setter. We're playing at Texas, as fate would have it. And we had a setter that in preseason kind of developed the yips, and Lindsay was a backup. And she wasn't ready. I knew she wasn't ready. She thought she was ready, but I thought, oh, she's not ready. And our poor setter literally could not set a legal ball, like tweet every time. So my assistants were like, "Fran, put Lindsay in." And I was like, there could be no bigger platform for this child to play her first college match than on her mom's alma mater on the court with the national championship banner hanging over her head. Like, how much more difficult can that be for this kid, right? And I didn't want to set her up to fail. You just don't want to do that as a parent or certainly as a coach even. And so finally, Jill screamed at me and said, if you don't put her in, I'm putting her in.
Okay, Jill. And she's kind of mild-mannered.
She is. And so I walked down to the end of the bench and I stood there a minute. And then I went, Lindsay, let's go. And she, bam, went. It's a moment my husband will never, ever forgive me for, because I told him, don't go on the strip. There's no chance she'll ever play.
Oh, he wasn't
there.
He
missed.
Oh, no.
He missed her first match. He doesn't let me forget it.
Oh, dear.
Me.
Oh,
so anyway.
Yeah, very cool.
All said
very
and done.
Cool.
But,
yeah.
I think more than how I managed all of that, it's more of how she managed it, right?
Sure.
She did the right thing. She had to be the hardest worker in the gym or one of them. She had to be the truest or one of them, right? You have to have that type of daughter or child to be in that position. If you don't, I think you undermine the culture of your program. And, I'm just fortunate enough that I have a kid that understands that.
Yeah.
And did.
Yeah. Right. So your communication style, it just seems like you know what needs to all kind of take place there to move something along. How is that different with the collegiate players to the pro players, where they're doing this for a living and you don't have to watch them and make sure they go to class and do all this stuff?
Yeah, I think that collegiately, the players are trying to figure out who they are, what they want to do, take care of their academics, as you said, and you're guiding them and you're almost willing them to do things that they don't think they're capable of doing, right? They don't see how far they can really go sometimes. And as a coach, you have to be demanding in every area to push them through the hard times, right? This too shall pass, right? You're going to get through it. My saying for my program collegiately was earn this. What you put into something is what you're going to get out of it most of the time. So I'd earned this in my office above my door and everybody saw it on the way out. That was important. If you step into the professional league, they've already reached that pinnacle. Like, you're not trying to force them or push them into something they don't think they're capable of doing. I believe you have to be more of a collaborator to help them within the scope of where they want to go, not where they think they want to go. They have their mission. They have their pathway. They know I'm a professional athlete. I'm dedicated to the sport. I'm going to maximize myself physically, mentally, emotionally, nutritionally, and they're buying into that. So I think as a professional coach, and I can't say I did this great in my first year coaching there, that the collaboration of what do you want out of this? What do we need out of this? How do we meet in the middle here? And I think that's what needs to happen, at least in this country, professionally for volleyball.
Right now in the pros, so you have, building that team cohesion, all players, the game changers that are waiting to come in, and the group you got out on the floor. What is that like? I mean, I know just from playing after college, not in a professional way, but in teams there, like, how is that put together? Are they big reasons? Are they the ones that kind of drive that? Do the coaches have to kind of take part in that? I'm sure they have to oversee in some ways and just make suggestions, but
I think this is still a work in progress. I think that we don't actually know, because in Pro Volleyball Federation, we have some incredible veteran players. Alicia Glass-Childress on our team. Molly McCage was there the first year. Really good leaders, really good professional volleyball players. They have been there, done that, and all over the world. And they brought this knowledge and this experience into our franchise specifically. But the understanding, so PVF is those type of players who want to have a chance to play in the United States for the first time towards the end of their career. And then we had 21-year-olds. We had a huge number of players who had never done that, right? So they didn't know how to be a pro. All they know is, hey, I was in the Big Ten or the SEC or the Pac-12, whatever, ACC. This is what volleyball is to me. And they didn't know. So as we get better professionally, I think it will be more of what I'm talking about, more collaboration, more understanding. For us, the first year was we have these veterans and we have these rookies. And the rookies, I mean, the first trip, Denise is trying to get information for travel, and she's asking for TSA numbers and frequent flyer numbers. And a couple of the kids are like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And she's like, how do you not know what I'm talking about? She goes, well, I played at X school and
we chartered.
I've never been on a commercial flight in 5 years. Like,
oh, they're so spoiled. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, they're spoiled, but it's also all of us, you and I, we fought for this, right? We fought to get our sport to have this opportunity, and we have it now, which is amazing. And we have it professionally, but we're going to go back not on commercial flights. We're not going to charter, right? So it's go up to come down a little bit, but you're also a professional athlete in the United States. So I think the perception of what professional sports is in the United States skews everybody's view of what professional volleyball is going to look like as a startup. So the expectation was a little bit too high initially. So, film sessions, we had to have them. And I just always encouraged our players, invest in your craft. Like, we don't have 20-hour limits. I made our gym available. I'm like, hey, if you want to come in and get extra reps, I'll go down there with you. I'm in the gym with you anytime you want. The veterans came. Alicia was in there all the time. Kat Bell was in there all the time. Molly would have been. She was injured quite a bit. The few veterans did. The rookies never came. They didn't understand the value. And so, it's the learning curve, right? If you really want to go up here, you got to work. It's a climb. It's not just a rise. And so I think there's a lot of learning that still has to go into what it means to be a professional volleyball player, and certainly in this country.
Yeah.
From both sides, all sides.
Yeah. I spoke to one of the players, and she is like, this is my job. And I go home, I get out of practice, I do what I have to do. And then I go home and I turned on Netflix. And she goes, I was watching way too many movies. And she's like, okay, this isn't good. So I did get somebody owned up to that. So we've got to 2 leagues now. We have Love Volleyball, we have PFF. I guess it's good, right? We have that so that they're trying something, you're trying something. Tell me what you think about that. I mean, it's wonderful for us as fans and people who love the game and love to see it played well, to have access to this and TV, and some of the improvements that you guys are bringing to the game. If you were the leader of all this, what would you want to happen? If you can say, and I don't want to get you in trouble, so go for it.
I won't get myself in trouble. It's okay. I am somebody that believes competition is good. I am somebody that believes, I think it's really positive that we have, if you count Athletes Unlimited, you have 3 leagues. There are 258 positions for women's professional volleyball players in this country right now, between Athletes Unlimited, League One, and ourselves. And that could change. People are going to add teams, add positions. That was last year. So the numbers could be different this year. But I believe Pro Volleyball Federation and League One have been good for each other. I understand the uncertainty from both leadership groups to say, this is hard, but competition is good. There have been other runs at professional volleyball in this country. Well, in the 80s, they had a league, and it didn't make. But I believe that Pro Volleyball Federation started out with this vision. League One came in with a completely different vision, as you said, a different model. Yeah. And we both have to continue to up our ante a little bit to try to be the best. And I don't think there is the best. I'm not here to say Pro Volleyball Federation is the best league. I'm not here to say League One is the best league. I think that as we grow it from the bottom and we figure out these two different pathways that each have chosen, we'll come to some middle ground and we'll figure out how to actually do it. And if it's PVF's model, great. And if it's League One's model, great. I'm not here I'm part of PVF and I should be tooting their horn, but the bottom line is I want professional women's volleyball in this country to make it. Mm-hmm. And whatever makes it is what I will stand for. Mm-hmm. Our sport deserves it. Mm-hmm. Our players deserve it. The opportunity is here. There couldn't be a better time to be pushing this with the interest in collegiate volleyball right now. I just truly believe that this sport warrants professional league with great TV contracts and great sponsorships. And we're close, but we're not there. And I believe, I don't know if it'll be an official merger at some point. Everybody's going to say, oh, you both need to merge. You need to put this together. And I don't know if it'll be official merger, but at some point there needs to be one. Mm-hmm. And nothing good starts and just stays. I mean, Coke and Pepsi, you talk about competition is good, right? Mm-hmm. And so you keep making each other better until you figure out there's one. And I'm hopeful that Pro Volleyball Federation and League One can continue to grow each in their own entity. And at some point that we all say, let's do this together for the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose in some ways the fans and the TV audience will have a big impact on this. And when I watch volleyball on TV or in person, and I think by far volleyball is one of those sports that is so exciting because it's so demanding physically, and what you get to see in an athlete, flying through the air and trying to intercept a ball that's coming along the net, and then to dig it. It's just, it seems like the education of the fan is also getting a little bit better. But I couldn't agree with you more about the two, and I just hope we continue to make it better. I like the lines that we don't have linesmen anymore. We get to use the cameras for touch. Everything is kind of clicking along, and that for the sport is really good.
Yeah, technology is going to take us to the next level, right? And Volt 6 is who we used for our league. Yeah. And I believe, Janice, that AI will take over at some point, right? I think it'll be, and they're probably already working on it, right? We have Volley Station that our stats are actually broken down live on the bench for us. It's no longer you and I ticking a 2-pass or a 3-pass or an in system, whatever, a kill or an error or an in play or whatever. We all sat and tallied that stuff for years. And now it comes to us full on an iPad on the bench, pops in.
From the video.
From the video. With the video attached. So the players can come out and go back and see where, their swings, their opponent, whoever they're matched up against, they have all of that at their hands. And it happened kind of at the end of my coaching career at LSU, and I was fighting to pay for it, right? We all have to fight to get that enhancement, right? And so I went into my administrator. She goes, why do you want it? I said, because we can play the match before we play the match. I can match it up. I can match up starting rotation 1 versus 6 and know who's going to be where and what those stats are, what defender needs to be where, how we need to manage this, what's the most efficient, least efficient. Do I want to serve this person short to their right or deep to their left? They have all of that stuff at our fingertips. I said, but of course, it's all up to whether the players can execute it, right? We can have all the information, right? And so she's like, well, do you really need it? I was like, yeah, we need it.
Yeah. What's it called again? Tell everybody what's
Volley Station. So Volleymetrics was the first that broke down, and then Volley Station came in. I think some people from Volleymetrics actually kind of jumped over and created their own with Volley Station. And now there's even more stuff coming out. So the analytics for our sport are just, they're just incredible and really are incredible. I mean, they have zones on the court, and the national team has long done this, but it's now easily accessed by colleges and, of course, professional teams. So every zone, if you hit to this zone, they transition at this percentage. And these are the people that get set this percentage. So you can release your blockers or hold your blockers, there's just so much to it. But again, it's up to whether your team can follow a game plan or not.
Yeah. And then I suppose you watch your own and go, we're not very good on this side of us. And then you fix it. So hopefully when the other team comes around, they don't know you got it fixed. But yeah. Oh, very cool. So Fran, thank you so much for all of this. It's really been fun to hear such a career you are having and still are having and the success. And I think you're doing a fabulous job. And before I go, I want to give you a shot to, is there anything that I didn't ask or that you would like to say?
The only thing that I have dedicated my life to, and I think that the understanding for these young players, that there's so many people ahead of them that have come before. Janice, you're one of them, that have dedicated their life to this sport and the opportunities. And I think so many of the older people get forgotten a little bit. Mm-hmm. The Ruth Nelsons, the Terry Liskeviches, I shouldn't say names because there's so many of them. I could go on for hours, but I just hope that there's a way in the future that those people can be remembered and honored for what they did, the legacy they left, and the sport that they truly built from the ground up in this country, because there are so many people that came before and, leaving it better, right? That's one of my mantras. So when you call to say, do you want to be part of this? Every team, hey, we're going to leave it better, whether it's the university, the volleyball program, the roommate, whatever, you leave it a little better than you found it. And, just the understanding that there's so many people that have created this for you, just value that and understand it and be appreciative of it.
Yeah. Celebrate life.
Absolutely.
Fran, thank you. And we'll be watching when the league starts, and the league starts in January or in January? Okay. All right. I look forward to seeing all of the play.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, same.
Thank you for listening. Please share your feedback with us at side-out.org.